You see that man that we're going to put behind me? See that guy on the horse right there? See that person? That's an interesting, very famous statue, by the way. That's Nathan Bedford Forrest. He was a Confederate general who's been honored not only with the statue, but with his own day in Tennessee as a state holiday for more than 100 years. So recently, though, Tennesseans started questioning why they should honor this guy, right? Why honor Forrest? Not because he was a general, they ask, on the losing side, but for something else that's much worse. And this is why they don't want anything to do with him, some Tennesseans. A, he's considered one of the founders of the KKK. One of the founders of the KKK. B, he hated black people so much that he slaughtered an entire platoon of Union soldiers after they had surrendered. In other words, instead of taking them prisoners, he just had his men just shoot them, mow them down, and kill them all. That's a famous part of history that's been featured in movies and novels. Here's the problem. Knowing all of that, Tennessee Governor Bill Lee recently signed a proclamation continuing to mark July 13th as the day to honor Nathan Bedford Forrest. Controversial? You bet. Joining us now is Luther Mercer. He is a Tennessean and an education specialist. Where does this situation sit right now? Can you bring us up to date?
Where it sits, thank you for having me, Rick, is that people are having a conversation with the governor around why would you, even though the law, and I want to be clear because I want to be fair, the law as it is established was a traditional way for the governor just to kind of sign this law as it comes through. And one of the things that people are asking is, why are we not challenging the way the law is now being implemented, but also challenging why we would even go forward with an action to even honor someone in this historical context. I
understand. And let me tell you what the governor says. The governor says, look, every governor before me did it. It's just, it seems like it's something that's just done out of hand. Right. We never really challenged it because we didn't really pay a lot of attention to it. I never even read the background on this thing. They just brought me the document and they said, well, you got to sign this because it's part of Tennessee law. So I signed it. Now he's saying, you know what? Now that people have brought this to my attention, I probably shouldn't have signed it, and I may change my mind. Is that his position?
That's his position. That's his position. I think we need to have a broader conversation in this country, though, Rick. I think we're at a different point of time where we need to be analyzing why are we doing the things that we're doing, and what is this creating in regards to our efficacy around what this country means and what we value.
Well,
and
let me
really,
stop you. Let me stop you. Let me just stop you. I'm going to challenge you a little bit on this because I hear the argument all the time. If it's a part of history, it's a part of history. This guy was part of U.S. history, good, bad, or indifferent. He may have been a horrible human being, but he was a Confederate general, and they put a statue up to him. Should we take all the statues down based on people's moral fiber?
Well, absolutely, he's a part of history, but I think history also has to be put in its proper context. One of the things about when you discuss history, if you say that someone is represented in a certain way, then it needs to be honored and shown as such. But you can't then kind of generally speak about history in a way that doesn't apply what it really means for future people to understand where we have been and where we now need to be as a country and what we value.
All right, so let's talk.
When we talk about Nathan,
hold on. Let's talk about this concretely, and I'm going to ask you very direct questions. I'm going to ask you two questions. One, should the statue come down? And B, should we get rid of this July 13th proclamation in this guy's honor? Number one, the statue, should it come down?
Okay, statue should be put in its proper context. That means where this statue was put up to honor him as a Confederate general, it needs to be in a Civil War memorial. It needs to be in some situation where it honors it for its context. But in regards to the honoring him as a state day, no, because what they're honoring him for are the atrocities that this man committed during the time he was a Confederate general and also in the time that he was a co-founder of the KKK. So I think there are two distinctions that have to be made regarding those two different things.
Let me help you define your argument, because I think I understand what you're saying, and I think there's some agreement here. The fact that he was just a Confederate general doesn't necessarily make him a nefarious human being. The fact that he was the founder or one of the founders of the KKK and that he slaughtered 150 African-American soldiers after they surrendered with their hands up. That's the reason you think this should be done against that guy.
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't think we want to honor that history in our country, but I think we do want to recognize that this was a part of our country and a part of our history, and we don't need to move history out of the way, because if we do, we're doomed to repeat it. So I think these things need to be put in their proper context in order for people to understand who we are, where we've been, but also we need to establish that we need to look towards a brighter future and a better future.
You know what? Interesting conversation. Luther Mercer, my thanks to you for coming on. So you haven't heard that we're the ones covering the stories that you won't see covered anywhere else? In Venezuela, Kazakhstan, let's go to Hong Kong. And the media reaction to that has been crickets. How about the way we cover those stories? What the hell does that mean? Wale, wale, wale. That's the key word in this case, uprising. Keep? Can you believe that? Watching. This is the right thing for members of the media to do, to actually pick sides. Look, if you like what you see, subscribe.